Alright guys, welcome to a brand new video, and I decided after being on Destiny for a few months that it was finally time to try Top Tree Striker Titan for the first time. There really wasn't a reason for me to use Top Tree at all, considering Bottom Tree is just a teensy little tiny bit broken, which is a joke. It's actually probably the most broken subclass in the game. But there's no real reason for me to use Top Tree at all, so I never ended up really using it. And with the DLC coming up, I'm assuming that Bottom Tree is going to receive a little bit of a nerf. I know that roaming supers are going to receive a nerf, and Bottom Tree has a really broken roaming super perk, which is essentially every single time you get a kill with your left click in super, it extends the duration of it. And that's one of the biggest problems with supers right now, is they just seem to last for like 9,000 years. So I'm assuming that perk in particular is probably going to get a little bit of a nerf. And considering one of the weaker parts of Top Tree is that you don't get that extended duration, I think that Top Tree is going to be a lot more useful moving into Shadowkeep. So I wanted to give a little quick review of it and kind of highlight the cool things you can do with the subclass tree. And that's pretty much it. Just as a quick little rundown of what perks you get for selecting Top Tree, you get Seismic Strike, which is essentially just a shoulder charge. You get a perk that allows you to regenerate grenade energy whenever you hit someone with your shoulder charge. You get a perk called Magnitude, which allows you to carry 2 grenades instead of 1, which is really, really good for pub stomping, like 6v6 game modes. And then finally, you get a perk called Terminal Velocity, which reads Fists of Havoc's Ground Slam attack leaves a damage dealing field in its wake and deals more damage the longer it's in the air. Whatever the hell that means. Very quickly going over something that's really, really cool and really fun that you can do with Top Tree is something that you used to be able to do in Destiny 1. Striker Titan really wasn't all that relevant in year 1 of Destiny 2, and then in year 2 to where we are now in Destiny 2, it's been more about Bottom Tree. So not a lot of people have spent much time with Top Tree Striker Titan, and I don't really see this being done very often, but it's something that you used to be able to do in Destiny 1 where once you build up your shoulder charge, it has a little like visual on the screen that looks like there's a ton of wind blowing on your face, and as soon as that animation is gone, you're kind of just taught to assume that you can't shoulder charge anymore. But when you slide, that little visual cue will go away, so you assume you can't shoulder charge. But as long as you don't wait too long, you can actually shoulder charge directly after sliding. So what you can do with this is you can either, like, if you're running towards a specific angle or a cutoff or whatever, and you know that you're gonna run around the corner and slide shotgun, you can slide around the corner, shotgun, and then if you miss, you can shoulder charge them. Or if you suck really bad, you'll miss your shotgun shot and your shoulder charge. But it's pretty easy to hit because the shoulder charge locks on really, really well. And if there's 2 people that go around that same angle, which is, I don't really have a clip of me doing in Destiny 2, but I have done it in Destiny 1, and I'll throw up a clip on the screen right now. But if there's 2 guys challenging the same angle, you can slide shotgun one, and then if you immediately shoulder charge, it locks onto the other guy, and it's a really good way to pick up 2 kills very, very quickly. Unfortunately, Titan Skating doesn't operate the same in Destiny 2 as it did in Destiny 1. In fact, it's pretty much non-existent. So you can't really use shoulder charge to be as good of a move for creating movement, because before it was like this really good way to kick off your Titan Skating. It doesn't really work the same way anymore. You can kind of use it to move around the map in a cool way, but it's by no means the same thing that it was in Destiny 1, and it's definitely a lot worse in Destiny 1 in that like specific regard, I guess. Something that Bottom Tree is really good at that Top Tree is not so good at is taking on a lot of people in a tiny little area, because if they all shoot at you at the same time, chances are you're gonna die. But if you're playing Bottom Tree, you get to regenerate health every single time you kill someone with your left click. So it's a lot easier to take out multiple people at once, and I know that a lot of people don't run the Dune Marchers, which is something I made a video about like a week ago. So if you're running Top Tree, I highly recommend do not run One-Eyed Mass. Try to run Dune Marchers, because you're gonna lose a little bit of power in your super because you don't regen after getting every single left click. But if there's a ton of people in a small area and you do hit a left click, what the Dune Marchers is going to do is it's going to chain lightning off of everyone, and that's going to either kill them or it's going to make it so it's a lot harder for them to shoot at you because their screen is, you know, flinching everywhere and they have lightning all over their camera. So if you're not going to run bottom tree and you're going to try running top tree, I highly recommend to go with Dune Marchers over One-Eyed Mask, especially considering the main point of this video is that top tree might be a little bit better once the new DLC comes out, and I feel like a lot of us are predicting that the One-Eyed Mask is going to receive yet another nerf as soon as Shadowkeep comes out. As far as the perk that gives you an extra grenade, it's not as fantastic when you're playing in like competitive games against really good players. If you could have your perfect choice for what grenade you'd want two of, you'd want to have two suppressor grenades. They have a really big radius that's like the size of Earth. And anytime you can take someone out of their super, that's a really, really big opportunity to kind of break away with a lead or just, you know, get an advantage for your team in general, because right now supers are really, really good in Destiny 2. So anytime you can shut down one of them, it's a really big win for you. And but unfortunately you don't have that option when you're playing top 3 striker, because you can't choose to have a suppressor. So mainly it's more like a pub stomping class. Lightning grenades are pretty solid against good players, but they're even better against not so fantastic players. And when you're running control, you're usually not going to run into the greatest of players. And if you're going for like really high kill games and you're playing control, these things are really, really good on control points. So a lot of times if I'm in a control game or just any game where the teams kind of just funnel into one little area, you just throw one of them on the wall and then throw another one on the wall kind of behind them. And most of the time people aren't going to expect two being thrown at once, so you can usually pick up some kills that way. It's not, like I said, it's not amazing for like 3v3 tournament gameplay type stuff, but if you're just running it in control, they're really, really good. Shadowkeep is also right around the corner, so it's not completely unreasonable to think that top tree might receive a few buffs, and as I mentioned earlier, that bottom tree will most likely receive a few nerfs. One last thing before I end the video is, assuming that Trials comes back at some point within the next 6 months, I'm going to start doing, I believe they announced it's going to be 1v3 or 3v3. If anyone doesn't remember, I did a Trials 1v3 on every single subclass in year 3 of Destiny 2. So if you want to see me do 1v3s in Trials moving forward, leave a comment down below. Particularly leave a comment as to what subclass you want me to do it on first. And the second last thing that I wanted to cover before I ended the video is that moving forward in the future, whenever I have a commissioned thumbnail, a thumbnail that I pay an artist to draw for me, more often than not, I will be extending the video to 10 minutes and I will be placing multiple ads on the video. The reason I'm doing this is that a lot of times when I'm making a video, there's not really a good in-game asset or like something I can screenshot in-game that would work very well. So I'm going to commission people to draw thumbnails for me. But thumbnails, if you didn't know, when you pay people to draw them for you, are quite expensive. And in this case, it's going to cost $60 to $70 just for one. So if I'm going to be paying that amount of money for a thumbnail, I'm going to need to crank up the ads on the video a little bit, which I don't think should be too much of a problem, considering I'm not doing it for personal gain. I'm just reinvesting the amount of extra money I make back into the quality of the video or the thumbnail or whatever. So hopefully you can understand. Hopefully you're not mad, and it's not really gonna be, it shouldn't be too bad. I'm not really gonna stretch out the content of videos. Instead of doing like one game, like one Rumble game for a live commentary, I'll probably do 2 or 3 games. And then if I'm doing a commentary video like this, I'm not really going to stretch out the amount of time that I talk for. I'm just going to let the background gameplay roll out, because a lot of times I'll use like, for commentaries like this, I'll use 50, 60 elimination control games or pub games, and I just cut them short whenever I'm done talking, but I'll just let the gameplay roll out in the future. And hopefully you enjoyed the video, hopefully you learned something. And I highly encourage you to try out top tree striker, even though right now it's worse than bottom tree. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.